Yo.
She does.
Kind of looks like Darth Vader for a second.
Mama?
I regret to inform you, but she has passed away.
You're okay, Yoshi. You're going to be okay.
So good, bro.
Is it Sol or is it Saul?
So,
So like the sun, right?
I know a guy named Saul, so I'm just...
We're on our way to Coruscant.
What happened?
They started a fire.
Did you?
Destroyed everything.
I think
Did
he
you?
believes that.
He
if nothing
killed.
else.
Mama? And they... No. No. You have to go back. We have to go back.
We can't.
We must.
There is nothing back there. You'll be safe on Coruscant. And if you wish, you'll train us, my Padawan.
You think we'll see any of Coruscant? Like her training there?
that'd be cool.
You're going to be okay, Ocean. You will never feel like this again.
Dang, that's quite
I
the promise.
promise.
Boom, you looking for this?
Welcome back to BoomShot. I'm Kel, this is Colby, and this is Micah, who was on the last episode because I was gone again. I feel like I've barely been on the channel the last 2 months, but we've just watched episode 3 of the Acolyte, and we're gonna discuss it starting now. I figure we should go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I'm trying to grow a beard. It's not working very well.
I was thinking it. I was thinking. I'm glad you said
I'm just
something.
gonna go ahead and say
I'm glad
that
you said
it's not working very well, but I'm gonna try it. So anyway,
It takes time, brother.
yeah, no, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? All right, y'all go for it. What y'all think?
So I feel like they teased me a little bit with killing Arca last episode.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe like May will fight him this next episode.
Yeah,
but
I
I
think
would say I was hyped to see him fight.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it was a tease for the next episode.
You also pointed out in the middle of the episode the shaved head with the tattoo.
He's dope, dude.
Yeah,
I hope he
that was
puts up a good fight.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, he looked sick, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I will say I enjoyed the first two more.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some things I liked about it. I feel like the casting was good for the child actresses.
Mm-hmm.
Like you pointed out, at first it took me a little bit to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
But I think the casting was good enough that you could tell a distinction and eventually kind of tell the difference in personalities pretty well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think so too. And I think this episode, despite it being boring, was, I mean, to be frank,
It was very slow,
Yes.
especially to begin with.
Yeah, to be frank, it was pretty boring, but I think, it's also instrumental to the story. So just kind of seeing their personalities when they were young girls, and I think this happened 16 years ago is what the episode said in the beginning. So, and how old is Osha in the first two episodes? I can't remember.
Didn't they say this happened when they were 8?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think it was 8, so they'd be 24 currently.
Yeah.
I think is what we're looking at. So, also, before the fire happened, Torben had no scar.
That was a good catch. Yeah, you said that.
After
live.
the fire, you could tell. It was pretty hard to tell. It was blurry, but he definitely had a scar. It was red. It looked the exact same as it did in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So how did that get there?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because I think he's sussy.
Yeah, I mean, they did control his mind, and they threatened to make him different than he wouldn't go back to who he was.
I feel like he went behind. I feel like this, and also he came off a little jealous when Osha was talking to him.
Yeah.
Did y'all feel that at all?
This episode?
Yeah, when Osha was like, "Can I become a Jedi?" and he's like, "Yeah, with a lot of training."
Yeah.
I almost felt like
I didn't catch that. I wasn't picking up that vibe. Because he was like, she was like, do you get one of those like lightsabers? Does everybody have one? He was like, yeah, with a lot of training. Like,
I just feel like he was maybe thinking like, I just feel that he's sus. If you don't feel he's sus, then you wouldn't pick up on that because we have different points of view, and that makes sense. But I just feel like maybe he was thinking like, she's getting this too easy. It's coming too easy for her.
And he seemed to be the most torn up in the first 2 episodes about what happened on Brendok. making me think that maybe he had something more to do with what happened.
Yeah, and I think maybe he went behind the Jedi's back and did it. And I don't think Soul knows anything about it. I think he genuinely believes that they died by fire. And maybe they did. Maybe they died from the explosion.
And he figures out later on, and he doesn't want it to turn into a whole controversy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It kind of feels like if that's the case, it feels like an inside op. Because I feel like the other three were not... So, the Wookiee...
It could be
the Wookiee and then the other dude, I don't know.
Torben?
No, Indar, the girl.
Indara?
Yeah, Indara. Sorry, I don't know their names. They were there with the dude, and then Saul was down.
That's true. It could be the three of them.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of an inside op where it's like they committed that atrocity, and Saul was kind of left in the dark. It kind of, I don't know what to compare it to. You go ahead and talk because I'm going to figure out something.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good point because the first two that we see May kill in the first episode and the second episode, they seem more resigned to die than Soul.
Yeah.
It's because Soul thinks they did nothing wrong.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the Punisher. That's what it feels like.
I love that.
All that stuff happened in Kandahar behind his back, and then he figured out about it later, and they tried to kill him for it. Like,
But
I mean, they're not trying to kill Saul for it. I don't think
May is.
She
attempted it,
but I'm saying like,
she's trying to kill the four of them. So, and Soul kind of cooked.
Last episode. That was awesome.
He's a beast, but. I see what you mean. I feel like maybe the other three, were in on it and knew, and he didn't, and that's why he's like so confused. Like,
but then he figured it out later, and or may have figured it out later, and then
that's true.
Because it might have affected his relationship with Osha,
because
the Padawan ship,
that's true. Because she did leave.
Yes,
did she leave or was she left?
She left. Yeah, she said that she left of her own accord. It's just hard for me to believe that a Wookiee would do something so.
No, dude, he seems like a G.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him, but I could see the woman and
because they're the first two to die too.
Yeah. And Indara seemed sus to me in the first episode. She seemed really arrogant.
Yeah,
and then she was shocked that it was May, which we wondered. Like if she confused May or Osha in the first episode, but she clearly knew it was May in the first episode when she saw the mark.
That's a good point.
So, and she was shocked that she was alive.
Yeah, because she could have been like, "Oh, I thought we got rid of you.
Yeah,
or I thought y'all died and stuff."
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, it could be, especially the two of them are sus at this point.
But my question would be then, what's the incentive? What's the motive?
Because also that, I'll get back.
We'll circle back.
But that's her Padawan, right?
Yes, Torben was her Padawan.
So that would make sense if it was just the two of them
in cahoots.
Yeah, but then you have to ask, what's the incentive? So like. Yeah. Why would they do such a thing? I mean, I'm not gonna say it was an atrocity because we don't know much about they could have been bad.
They could have been. Yeah, we don't know much about them. They could have been up to something and
nefarious.
Yeah, and I feel like if that was the case, Soul would have been more like in with it. At this point, I feel like he's really not. But I feel like at least for Torben, his motive would be that they controlled his mind against his will.
Mm-hmm.
But is that big enough motive in the story?
Maybe when they were controlling his mind, he saw something that like a plan type thing,
something dark, and he told his master.
Yeah, kind of like when what's his face, Ego controls Star-Lord with the thing, and he gets to see his whole plan.
It does that dolly zoom on his head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, that's a way you could look at it.
That's a good point, and that would make sense if he let Indara in on it because he would trust her because it's his master.
Yeah, and so then she would be willing to. So and then maybe at that point they try to get them trying to get the kids out would be that would be their number one priority is because they don't want to kill the kids obviously, but the entire witch coven they would want to take down.
I don't know. There were no lightsaber marks or anything.
Yeah, that's true
and
too.
It did show May starting the fire. So May did start the fire.
But then what killed? I mean, they could have force choked them. I mean, they could have done something
but all of them at once. I mean, those witches were pretty powerful.
As far as we know, they were pretty powerful.
Yeah.
There's something going on here, and I free my boy Soul.
Yeah.
Even though he's not in jail or anything, I feel like at the end of the last episode, they weren't letting him go where he wanted to. I feel like, I don't know, something's going on.
He seemed genuinely upset with everything that happened on Bryndock. I mean, he cried for Osha, and he wanted to save both. I mean, when May fell, he yelled for her.
That's true.
And then saved Osha. So that scene was kind of confusing. It was a little... With both of them, they look
Yeah.
so similar.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell who was who. So
The one thing about Soul though is he still is kind of sus from last episode because he could have erased May's files.
yeah,
Because as far as he knew, it was a shock that Jackie
his Padawan.
found out that like May, like Osha had a sister to begin with, so he could still be hiding something. But like you said, maybe he found out later and didn't want like the Jedi to collapse, so he's just trying to clean up the mess.
Yeah,
but he
sweep it
wasn't
under the
involved
rug.
to begin with.
Yeah. I can't really think of a parallel scenario, but like maybe in terms of protecting the Jedi, but also like he didn't want Osha to like get angry with him for something. And so like
Because he wasn't involved to begin with.
But if he were to tell like her, she probably wouldn't believe him, you know, because he was older and probably like she probably would have felt manipulated.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
and like I don't know, that's what I could see. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't know if Indara and I want to say Torbjorn, but from Overwatch, but I don't know if either of them have enough incentive to pin them with it, but they seem like the most likely candidates right now, I would say.
Yeah, especially because Torben was like so resigned to die, and like you said, Indara was arrogant. Like and Voss pointed out in New Rockstar's video, like she just let all those other people at the bar just kind of get wrecked at first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when she saw May or Osha, whoever I guess she thought it was at that time, show up, she's just like letting other people get wrecked.
She does seem kind of arrogant. Like, you kind of could pick up that vibe. Saul seems the most down to earth.
He's a G, dude.
Yeah,
He
and then
is.
the Wookiee dude, I can't remember his
He's
name.
a G too.
Kelnaka. I will say Indara in this episode didn't seem as arrogant as she did in the
That's
first
true.
one. I mean, she didn't even use her lightsaber in the first one, which I mean, I know May didn't have a weapon, but she was clearly powerful. And
Yeah.
So I don't think she took her too seriously until she started throwing those daggers at her.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, we haven't even talked about which the Sith wasn't even in this episode, but I mean, there's a lot that's still going on because we got to figure out like what actually happened, and then the Sith, man, we just got a little tease of him, so I feel like that'll be the bring it home like the rest of the season.
And back to what you said about New Rockstars and their breakdown, he made a point that he doesn't think the Sith that was shown in the video is actually the master. He thinks he's the apprentice, and May is his assassin.
Ooh,
Which I thought was a pretty good theory.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way, and that would make a lot of sense because that
does make a lot of sense.
That would make a lot more sense as who Plagueis is, because that guy clearly is not Plagueis based on his anatomy. I mean, unless they just really
retconned.
Squeeze his head in the helmet.
So I'm interested to find that out. My takeaway from the episode, honestly, is the first two episodes they made me think that the Jedi were the bad guys.
Yeah.
This episode makes me think that neither side are bad per se. We don't really know what happened.
Yeah,
So-
especially Solon. He's like the main protagonist of the Jedi.
Yeah, and in my opinion, you can't really place blame yet on either side. Both sides were stubborn in their ways, but I don't think there was any wrongdoing thus far, aside from May starting a fire.
Yeah, because going into this episode, like you said, I thought the Jedi were gonna like just abduct them and take them in against their will, but Osha wanted to go, and they didn't try and take May.
Yeah, and the witches wanted them to fail the test purposely.
Yeah,
and that was a funny scene.
that was a good scene. I liked how they did that.
He was like, correct, and she's like, wait, no, that's not a mountain. And he's like,
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, I liked how they did that because the honesty of kids comes through a lot of times, anyways.
And that scene kind of took me back to the Phantom Menace with Anakin taking the. How old was Anakin in that movie? 9, I think.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9, maybe 10. So I don't know. Yoda's alive at this time. Maybe he sees what happens with these girls.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like maybe that's why he's so reluctant to take.
We
Anakin.
can't brainwash them when they're young enough. So
yeah, maybe that's why he's
no more older kids because we can't brainwash them fast.
Maybe
enough.
that's why he's so reluctant to take Anakin in.
That would be cool.
Phantom Menace.
That would be really cool. Like we talked about earlier, if we do get a little bit further to like her Padawan ship, if we see Yoda, like I don't know about this.
Yeah,
or he lets it happen and then he sees what happens. That would be
cool. It would make a lot of sense. It would be a big paradigm shift, like if that were to happen. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as y'all. I don't really know. I'm trying to figure out motive. That's where I'm at.
Motive is the key. It's the key factor here. That's missing.
I watched enough shows to be like, what's the motive here?
And we can't really find motive. I mean, the most motive we have is Torben being sort of mind control. We don't really know what happened with him.
It just goes to show that this episode is probably going to be one of the most crucial in the entire series, I think, because this is where it all went wrong. Or and so figuring out, it kind of reminds me of the episode in Clone Wars where the Jedi Temple explodes, and we kind of go back and visit that multiple times. Like this kind of feels
pivot
like
point.
Yeah, it was a big pivot point, and so much happened and so much went wrong from that episode. So now we got to figure out what happened. Or like episode 10 from The Punisher, the hotel one, where it tells it from a different point of view.
That's a beautiful episode.
Yeah, it is a beautiful episode. So I feel like we'll get everybody's point of view. I'm sure we'll go back to, because we kind of picked up Osha's point of view. That was the one that we really followed. So maybe we'll get
That's a good point.
Maybe we'll get Saul's point of view about it, or a story flashback. Maybe we'll get May's point of view about it.
Or even Kelnaka, because he's, if we go back to present time, he's next up on the kill list, the terminal list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see him, I don't know how he'd be able to communicate with May, but be like, oh, I wasn't a part of it, but I know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he becomes a source of information.
Right now, based upon our theories, he seems like the most neutral party in all of this,
and maybe that's why he's been hiding, dude.
Guilty by association. He didn't do anything wrong technically,
because didn't they say he's been just hiding? He hasn't been active in the Jedi?
He's been living solo for
maybe that's
now. Why. I guess for the same amount of time Torben was in the Barash Vow or whatever. I think they said 10 years, so I guess Kelnaka's been living on his own for 10 years.
I figured that's probably when Osha figured out what happened then. If we're assuming they're about 24, then maybe she was 14 whenever she figured out what actually happened. And then everybody went into hiding. That was involved. She left.
You mean May?
No, Osha.
We still don't really know why she left the order.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
it could be that. She might know. But
well, she could have figured out and then left, and then every party involved kind of or Kelnaka went and did his own thing because he knew what actually happened. Mm-hmm. And then maybe Indara and Torbjorn decided to go do their own. They didn't really. Maybe they got acquitted, but only because the Jedi were partial. That type of thing. So, Kelnaka couldn't agree with that, and so he had to part ways.
Yeah, that's true. We still haven't really seen why she left, so that's
I
true.
figure it has something to do with her figuring out what actually happened. That's what I'm assuming.
I still think it's clear, based upon the 3 episodes we have so far, that the Jedi that shows the most regret in this situation is Torben.
Yeah. And May she was most upset with him, I feel like. Or she's the one that singled out, was like, you're going to pay for what you did or whatever.
Yeah, she told him he needed to go to the council or die and admit what he had done. So it makes me think that he did something.
Yeah, and the scar.
That's where the scar came from. Mm. So I think that'll be important down the road.
Yeah, man. If nothing else, like you said, this episode was slow, but it built some intrigue for the future episodes.
Well, you need something like that, either early on or setting up. I mean, if you're going to set up a mystery plot, you've got to do it pretty early. So
yeah, that's true.
Which I feel like they kind of did with Indara dying at the very beginning.
Which was bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke.
Awesome.
She's one of your biggest actresses or actors in the show.
Yeah, and they're going to go ahead and kill her off immediately, and it sparks kind of well, why? What's this? And they give you the vague dialogue with Torbjorn, I'm sorry, I'm just going to call him that. That's
it's going to catch on.
Yeah, that's all I can think about. But they give you the vague dialogue where it's you go to the council or you die. For what? So then they're going to tell you what happened, and I feel like the rest of the show is going to be based on this episode. So it is pretty crucial.
Regardless of what happens, it's going to be tough for them to keep people off of who the Sith is. I mean, that's still I want to know. I mean,
and we know he's going to wreck some people.
Because people just love Plagueis, and that's who I'm personally hoping it is, the Master and the Apprentice. And so that's what I'm hoping for is Plagueis.
Yeah.
Because he's
at that
awesome.
point, that kind of feels like Hawkeye, because we were trying to figure out who the uncle was the entire time. I mean, we had our guesses. It was Kingpin, but it was kind of obvious it was going to be Kingpin, but it wasn't.
Until you see the cufflink.
Until you see the cufflink. Yeah, so I feel like there would be something where it's
That's
there
true.
he is. So
Give me Plagueis.
and it has to but it has to be Plagueis, right? I mean, otherwise that would.
It could be somebody else, but
wouldn't that break
unless he's Plagueis didn't know about him. That's what we were talking about before. Like, wouldn't play if he finds out about this other Sith.
That would be
not
a cool
a part
show,
of the rule
dude.
too, and he just destroys them.
Yeah.
Well, and I told Colby last week off the air, I read a Darth Plagueis book, one of the novels, and he killed his master at the beginning of the book, Tenebris. That was his master. He didn't know that his master had another apprentice, Venomous, and so they fought each other for Dark Lord of the Sith title. And Plagueis obviously ended up killing him. But Tenebris technically broke the rule of 2 because he had 2 apprentices.
So maybe we've met Tenebris then, or maybe we've met Venomous. Maybe Venomous is the one dude because we don't really know what he looks like, do we? So maybe
he's a Bith. He's a Bith.
Oh, so did it look like a Bith?
The head's kind of small because the Biths are the ones in the cantina. The cantina.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It could be Tenebris. It could even be Venomous. So
I was thinking it would be Venomous because we met Venomous, or like Tenebris is
It would
the
make
ultimate
sense. Like
dude.
he's the one that we don't know about.
Yeah. He's the one we don't know about because you
Under
said it's not
radar.
Plagueis, and I feel like it's too early for Plagueis to be because if this is set like 100
But
years
dude,
before.
imagine if we see Plagueis come in and just wreck the Sith that's built up that is Venomous.
dude,
And he like Venomous wrecks all the Jedi like we see in the promos, and then Plagueis just wipes the floor with him.
Yeah.
the only
Become a rival.
the only way I would be okay with this not being Plagueis or any of that Sith lineage would be as if they have a standalone show in the works with like I would love to see something like that.
Oh, that would be
But
good.
I feel like it would break canon. But I also like we don't know the time. Do we know the timeline for how long Plagueis was Dark Lord of the Sith? That's kind of what I'm wondering because
It wasn't. I don't know the exact timeline. I don't think it was very long before the Phantom Menace because that book led right up into the Phantom Menace.
which
I'm
was 20
pretty
years
sure.
before the Clone Wars started.
I'm pretty sure because it recapped Sidious
Or
killing
10
him.
years.
Sidious killing him in the book. So he got him drunk, killed him, and
Tragedy of the
exactly, that's where it comes from.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot to be discovered, but I mean, there's also 5 episodes left. So, or 4 episodes left, I guess. 5 technically. Yeah, it's 5. So, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to be revealed.
I mean, I'm pretty satisfied, especially like with the intrigue, the Sith, like what really happened.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty satisfied too. So, but let us know what you guys think. Any last thoughts?
I don't think so. I'm ready for next week's episode
me too.
already.
Yeah. And let us know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.